And good morning, New Mexico. We are 99.9 FM, AM 810. It's that time once again for the Rusty Nut Show, heard every Tuesday at 10:30 right here on 99.9 FM, AM 810 with the man, with the Rusty Nut himself, Mr. Gabriel Garcia of the Auto Angel. Cool, Gabriel.
Yo, Patricio, ¿cómo estás, hombre?
I am doing great, but I hear you had a great weekend. Your Demons won, your Dodgers won, your Lakers won,
No, no, no,
your
Lakers, no Lakers.
well, who won?
The
The Demons.
Lobos, you're trying to
Oh, the
avoid the
Lobos.
Lobos. Against who?
They against the Aggies.
Boom, that's what I'm talking about. Uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh.
Because last weekend you said, "Oh yeah, go Capital High, go be all the teams that won last week."
Anyway, thank you for the opportunity, Patricio. Real quick, anybody who just fell on the dial right now, the purpose of this Rusty Nut Show is to take the 32 years of automotive repair experience that I've got and give it back to anyone listening who wants to know how to keep their second largest investment, that being your vehicle, second to your home, because your home's usually your largest investment. Help people learn how to keep it in front of the tow truck. That's the goal, Patricio.
Yes, indeed, and of course, keep it in front of the tow truck, not on top of the tow truck, but also to educate ourselves and learn about our vehicles, our second biggest investment, and there are things that we can do and things that we can do that we shouldn't do. How do you like that, baby? That's a
There
profound
you go.
statement. And then there are things that we should do to make sure that our car is staying in front. And there's little things that we can do, like you've always said. Just because you go and get an oil change and everything else doesn't mean that in 1,000 miles you shouldn't check your oil, because cars are different nowadays. And so those are little things that we can do.
And there is, and again, most of the people listening, whether you're driving or you're sitting in front of a computer, you're going to be faced with paying someone to service your vehicle. And that's just getting more and more of a requirement as compared to spending your weekends maybe taking care of your own car. It's getting harder and harder to service your own vehicles. I want to touch on something. This show touch we kind of focus on the average car on the road today is a 12-year-old car. That car has over 140,000 miles on average. And that's what's on the road today. So most of what we talk about on the Rusty Nut Show is about that vehicle. We don't get too intense with specifics, meaning we don't want to go over people's heads. We're just trying to target the driver and the owner and what you should expect. So real quick, this Attitude of Gratitude show. Thank you to the Quesuave Radio for giving shows like the Rusty Nut Show a voice. Without the infrastructure and your family working hard all these years, we wouldn't be able to do that. So thank you so much. My team here at the Auto Angel, I want to thank them very much, because without them, I wouldn't have the freedom to be on the radio with you every week. We owe a belated happy Labor Day because we took that week off. So, all those people who missed us, we're sorry. The fans. I think my mom said she didn't hear it. She's the only fan. So thanks. Labor Day is an important holiday, and one of the segments of the show is always a blue collar thank you and azul gracias. We'll get to that here in a minute. I want to say a real quick hi to my mom and my mother-in-laws. I got two suegras, bro. How's that for?
You're a lucky man.
Hey man,
Two
if
of
one's mad
them.
at me, I'd go the other one.
Yeah, you
There's
play them
gotta be
both. You play them
there's
both.
gotta be tortillas somewhere. We always do a red, white, and blue thank you. This is to all enlisted servicemen and women, active duty, stateside, abroad, reservists, veterans, and most of all, the families that support these brave men and women. That is always critical. That Patricio and I like to emphasize that there's kitchen tables, dining room tables that have an empty seat all across this wonderful country every day. And some of them are permanently empty, and some of them are just empty while these individuals are serving our armed forces. And we can't thank those families enough and those brave men and women that actually are in uniform.
Amen, amen. We live in the greatest country ever because of them. So thank you, and our police officers as well. There's fires por donde quiera, especially towards up in California and all those areas. And so we have firefighters out there. Por favor, keep them in your prayers as well.
And coming off the 9/11 holiday, this is a never forget holiday. I don't know if it's a holiday. I guess that's a wrong word to say. It's just a never forget date that's in our country, that is, the biggest terrorist act on the U.S. soil ever, and we're just coming off of that date. And I just want to reemphasize how much we appreciate those first responders, and that was been reinforced all day over the weekend. There was parades going on all over the country. The presidents were visiting all those different places, so it's just a huge thing to remember that first responders are exactly that, usually the first boots on the ground, and it's a
Amen.
dangerous. All right, so now we get into the Azul Gracias. This is the blue collar thank you. This is something that we don't take lightly. That's important to us to just emphasize that there are people out there doing their jobs and almost getting no thank yous, almost not being appreciated in one way or another. And I want to go to, because you came off saying, hey, how about um, the teams that won over the weekend? There's a lot of coaches that are out there donating their time to teach the young athletes in this city, in the state. But that coach usually either gets blamed, he or she gets blamed, or they get recognition. But the ones that are behind the scenes, the ones that are really always making an effort and maybe don't ever even see a thank you. How about those assistant coaches? How about those the trainers? How about the parents that volunteer to support those coaches? So I'm going to just narrow it down to head coach support team. Those are the ones that we want to say a blue collar thank you to. They're the ones that are dealing with the complaining parents. Maybe we don't want any of that. Don't shoot the messenger, que no, Patricio?
Don't shoot the messenger, brother. And people don't realize, Gabe, the coaches, it doesn't matter what sport. They're not only coaching during the season, if soccer's 2 months or whatever, basketball's 3 months. They're coaching during the summer. So they probably make like coaches, at the high school level, probably make like 36 cents an hour, if you probably put in all their time. So, like Gabriel said, it's easy for us to sit there and criticize and be Monday morning quarterbacks, but we don't. We do our best not to do it. We
There you go.
appreciate what you
Make
guys
make
do.
good
So,
choices with the freedom that we have in this country, and be a good person. And
and like
thank
I say, people that real quick, if you sit there and you criticize a coach or you criticize an elected official, then run for office or apply to be a coach.
or
Vasco,
volunteer to help that coach. Yeah. Speaking of
that's a
coaches,
profound statement.
that is a profound statement. Good job, Patricio.
I'm on
Before
a
we get
roll.
before we get into the nuts and bolts of what this show is really about, I want to say the Kyovo of the day. I want a big shout out to Santa Fe Demon football coach Andrew Martinez. I got to play football with him, Yaffle, as a kid. He was a St. Francis Saint at the time, and we played basketball together. And he's the real deal. He's born and raised here. He was a Capital High Jag when he played high school, and yet he's coaching the Demons against the Jags, and he's done an outstanding job of growing that program. So, Mr. Martinez, if you're listening, I'd like to pay for my banner. I paid for the one for St. Mike's. Send your athletes over. You had a banner 2 years ago. They still have it. I want to pay for it so that way I get on the field. I also have a cue of the day to Mr. and Mrs. Mike Esquivel and the Auto Angel bro Steve Apodaca from GM Emulsion. Kyovo, take it away, Patricio. Who's your
So I
Kyovo?
got to go back to. So he was over at the St. Francis, Coach Martinez. So what are
He
you
was a
saying that
student of St. Francis Saints, bro. He was an altar boy.
like are you saying that like you and Coach Martinez, because he was a saint at St. Francis and you're an angel, and then the other vatos you hung out with might be these other angels? What are you
Apostles,
trying to say, bro?
apostles.
Huh?
I say we're rocking it, brother. That's all
You
there is
guys
to it.
you guys are apostles, huh?
We believe.
Not
We
not
we were
prophets. Hey, real quick, before we keep going, Advanced Auto Parts, proud sponsors of this great show. We want to thank them, of course, the Auto Angel, and I want to send a shout out to our diehard faithful listener, Benny Zamora. He tells me you were spot on, you're spot off, stuff like this. And of course, my good friend Ron and Angela Trujillo, who I think about all the time. They're in my prayers, and my bro-in-laws who listen faithfully, and they they're always saying, "Are you serious? You think that was true, or you think So there, that's good, and that's one things that that's why I say it's good to
Keep
find
it real.
a somebody you can trust with your car, because there's a lot of stuff that's said out there that's not true. But you find somebody good, somebody you can trust, then bam, you can sleep good at night.
Keep it real. That's why we like the feedback. Keep it real. Get after
Yes, sir.
Patricio and he'll get after me. All right. So this time of year, we're already seeing those. Some of you might have been lucky enough already to have bagged big game. Those of you are planning hunts. So the topic of this today's show is hunting, and with hunting means for a lot of you means towing, means using your four wheel drive, means putting a lot more additional stress on your daily driver. Not that it wasn't designed to do it, but we want to talk about how to do it safely. A lot of us have vehicles that have the potential to tow and to go off road, but yet we may not. We may think we know how it works, and that's today's show. We're going to talk a little bit on how to use it and some of the safety features involved with doing that because you're sharing the road with everybody else, so it's your responsibility to know how you use your equipment. And if you don't, it's your responsibility to learn. So let's get into it. You ready?
I'm ready, brother.
All right, brother. So the Rusty Nut certified opinion is to
Let's do it.
prepare way in advance. I meet a lot of people that that ounce of prevention would have been worth a pound of cure, is what they say. That's like the English dicho. And really, what we want to say is if your hunt's in December, now's the time to get your vehicle looked at before you have a couple of months to prepare. It can really go a long ways. Let's start with towing. The most common reasons for trailer accidents on the road is from the trailer swaying. What does that mean to you, Patricia? What does the trailer swaying mean?
That means that that trailer might be passing you soon. No, it means that the trailer is going back, kind of like back and forth. You know what I mean? Going from one kind of wanting to go to one side of the lane to the shoulder or something like that.
Exactly. And it's usually the back of the trailer. So what I'm saying is when I look this up online, one of the number one causes of people getting in an accident when towing is because that trailer in the back was almost switching lanes, or hitting the line to line, left to right, left to right. So the truck's going straight, but the trailer's just wobbling back and forth, kind of like a fish swimming, moving its tail. So there's reasons why that happens. Um, it's crucial to have some simple things. The trailer needs to be level. So when the truck's on level ground, that trailer should be level, not with the front of the trailer higher than the back or vice versa. Do you follow?
So what you're saying is where the truck. Let me try to explain this in English. Where the truck, where the trailer latches onto the truck at the bumper, you don't want the trailer like up at an angle or down at an angle. Is that correct?
Correct. And one of the easiest things for people out there to correct that with is weight distribution, meaning where you put your 50-pound bag of frijoles. Where does that go?
In my
You there?
panza. At my
So,
panza.
so spreading that weight out can help where you're putting things in that trailer in a way that helps it not all in the front, not all in the back. Does that make sense? That's an easy cure for having a leveled trailer loaded.
But what about like your hitch being too high or something?
For
Isn't
sure.
that
And we'll get into that. There's definitely,
okay?
so that one was the free one. If you have a level trailer and then you put all your gear in the front and now it's nose diving, there's a chance for you. All you have to do is move the weight around and you get a level trailer again. That was free. That was easy. So the other option is, like you said, maybe you're using the wrong hitch or the receiver. So that piece that slides into the hitch. And then you mentioned earlier bumper. One of the things that amazes me is bumpers and hitches are rated at certain tongue weights or their ability to weight capacity. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right. And
Okay.
then the trailer ball itself, the most common ball size for trailers is a 2-inch trailer ball, right? You've
Yes,
seen them
sir.
all your life. On the top of that ball is stamped what its weight capacity is on a good one. If you can't read it, you might want to go shopping. So they range anywhere from I think the lowest one's like around 3,000 pounds, and they go up to like 12,000. So one of the things that those of you listening right now is, you had a hitch, it's bolted to the frame, maybe it came with a truck. I mean, it's part of the truck essentially, right? And then you go over to wherever your favorite store is, or maybe you in your garage, or somebody gave you a hitch and that's your favorite hitch, or you've owned it all your life, whatever. What's it rated for? Is it really thick enough? The ball stud that goes through with the nut on the bottom, is it really capable of the weight that you're attaching to it?
Well, and I'm thinking about it too, because that's one part, but right, what about your bumper too?
And there
What
you
happens
go.
if you
So
have
the
a what happens if you have a bumper or a hitch that says, or the ball says 12,000 pounds or whatever, 6,000 pounds, but maybe you have a bumper that may be plastic or flimsy or something. I don't know.
No, you're right. There's definitely the vehicle has to be rated for that. So to narrow this down, so we don't bore people to death on the show over this, is obviously the truck has to be capable, or the SUV, of pulling the weight that you're towing. So knowing the weight that you're towing is critical, and then making sure that the hitch and the receiver and all those pieces are going to be legally built to withstand that weight. And it's your responsibility as the owner to make sure. I brought up the trailer ball specifically because I think that's the most overlooked. I meet a lot of people that, they went everything's right except for maybe that ball is just underrated, and you could tell by the shaft size where the nut goes on it, it's too little. It's like, wait a minute, what's this rated for? So it should be pretty big.
Very good. And one of the things, Gabe, and I love this show because it's education, and that's what we're doing is learning right now, educating ourselves. Even when it comes to maybe you've never towed a trailer, maybe you've never put your hitch, attached to your truck or something. One of the best things is to do is to find somebody who's knowledgeable and somebody that's going to be able to walk you through it. Because a lot of times we think, what can there be? Go over there and put a hitch on my truck and pull a trailer. That there's a lot more than that. And you started off the show about safety and wanting to make sure that not only your family or you or whoever is doing that, but other people on the road, because there's been some
That's,
horrific
you're,
accidents.
you're not the only one on the road, and it's your responsibility to keep everyone around you safe. And the thing, when you mentioned the trailer hitch height, I mean, that's definitely one of the things about keeping the trailer level. Let's go to a trailer that has four tires on it, okay? It has two axles. Follow?
Yes, sir.
So most of the campers you see, most horse trailers, most any of them have, even boats, all of them most of them have four tires, which is a twin axle or dual axle trailer. If you have it to where it's angling more towards the front, the nose is diving, or the nose is up, one of the sacrifices is two of those tires are probably carrying more of the weight than the other two. Follow?
Yes, sir.
So that's a potential problem for those tires. The other thing is when you get to that campsite and you're in Peco, so you're going up to Iron Gate or somewhere, and it did fine on the street, but when you go through one of those like bumps or holes or ruts, if it's angling down, you might end up leaving the toilet in the road because it's going to rub on the bottom of that trailer. So that's where having it level gives you the most ground clearance the way it was designed. So if you don't take the initiative to set it right, even pulling out of the gas station, you might end up leaving the bumper of your camper on the road. So making sure it's
Brother,
level is going to be helpful. Yo.
you got me más espantado when you said about you might lose your toilet. Porque ese toilet está más importante when you go camping.
Hey, bro, that's the most important piece of
Huh?
any house. The house
You,
has wheels or not.
hey,
That's important.
forget the tires, forget the food, but do not mess up the toilet.
That's it, man. That's it.
Okay. Hey,
Go ahead.
no, go ahead and keep going.
So earlier this year, I rented an RV to go on a vacation. Right, this is a true story. and it's a driving RV, a regular motorhome. And I got home from
Right.
Albuquerque about 1 in the afternoon because they don't let you pick it up to about 11 or so. Anyway, my daughter, my youngest, she's 5 at the time. This was in June, and she was so excited. She went with me, and we got back, and right away we started loading it. So my wife was filling the fridge with food and all because we were gonna leave the next day. And we started looking for her, and we said, "Where's Summer? Where is she?" She was in the bathroom of the motorhome. And right away she was testing it. She was so excited to make sure, to use the bathroom in the motorhome. And we laughed about it, but truthfully, that was the smartest thing to do. You don't want to find out halfway on your trip that there's a problem with the toilet, right?
Yeah, yeah. I love that girl. She's wise. She must listen. She must listen to me a lot.
She was so excited to try out the bathroom. It was pretty funny, but in the end, I think she was really smart to do that. Okay, let's get back on target here. We were talking about ground clearance and how important having that level trailer should be. Um, Understanding the rig and taking time to find out the most appropriate solution for that. If it's not level, there's a bunch of different ways that you can adjust it. Again, I talked about the easiest. It might be more complex than that, and you might end up having to invest in a different hitch or something like that. I talked about the 2-inch diameter trailer ball that handles majority of the trailers out there, from 33,500 pounds up to 12,000 pounds is what those balls are rated. So buying the right one. Now let's get into tires. One of the critical thing is tires are probably the second leader in automobile problems or trailer problems. A blowout is a sudden loss of air pressure, and one of the biggest contributors to tire blowing out is going to be that it doesn't have the proper air pressure. So it's our responsibility before we drive away to check those tires, not only on the truck that you're pulling, but the trailer. Go ahead, hands up.
So I was going to ask you on the tires. That's where I was going when I forgot it went to the toilet. But with that being said, are all tires, if the tires for your vehicle, I know there's different sizes of tires, but are they? Can you put tires same amount of weight, say for your vehicle, onto tires for a trailer? You got to be careful with that as well. Like,
Definitely.
aren't there different plies, like 4 plies, 5 plies, or something?
You're absolutely correct. There are trailer tires that are specifically for trailers. So putting a car tire on a trailer is not the safest thing to do. We want a trailer tire that's built for what that trailer capacity has. Some of them are steel, all steel tires. The sidewalls themselves are steel belted versus nylon. So I had a lesson from our friend over there, Garcia Tire. What's his name? Don Diego de Vargas.
Eli, Eli Garcia.
Garcia. He gave me a lesson over the phone recently. So I recommend, if you guys are going to buy some trailer tires, calling up Lee and going and visiting him, and he'll help. He was telling me some of his clients pull horses that are worth, they're $4,000 a piece horse. They don't want to go cheap on tires. Trailer tires have speed ratings as well. So you really want to pay attention to that. If you learn that you really shouldn't be, even though your big old diesel can pull that fifth wheel down the road at 100 miles an hour, that's not the safest thing, and you're really relying on that tire. So again, it's your responsibility to verify that the tires are good and the pressure is correct on your trailer tires and your towing vehicle, the vehicle that's actually doing the towing, and the spares. Don't forget the spare tire, because the last thing you need to do is be on the side of the road and not be able to install your spare because it's flat or not even there.
Hey, and you're absolutely right. And it goes back to Gabriel that you get what you pay for. Especially, you mentioned horses, and you're right. A lot of people pay $4,000 or $5,000 for their horse, and stuff like this. But hey, when it comes to your family, if you're towing a camping trailer or even your motorhome or things like this, you want to make sure that you're safe and your family's safe. So make sure that if it's and that's where Lee Garcia, the experts come in as far as tires. You want to make sure that what type of tire you're getting, whether it be 10-ply or whatever, is going to be that tire strong enough to support the weight and everything else.
That's 100% true. And I mean, there's a bunch of different load ratings, and you know, so it really, you just be honest with your tire vendor of what your goals are, what you're trying to accomplish as far as weight. and then he'll help you make the right selection as the tire that's going to be able to withstand that. And the other thing that happens is a lot of times you go to make a turn with a trailer, and if you're in downtown Santa Fe, those corners are tight, and if you sidewall that, if you rub the sidewall of that tire on a curb, that can really take away some of the life of that tire. So be careful when you're pulling those trailers, taking the time to go slow. You see those truck drivers, they go wide. They don't want to, damage their tires, because that's going to mean downtime on the freeway for them. And a tire blowout on the highway on a trailer destroys the fenders, and there you might even destroy that toilet on the RV again. Don't want that.
Oh my gosh! Don't say that. You're gonna ruin my Tuesday. Don't say that about this. But you're right. I've seen trailers, camping trailers. When you get a blowout on a camping trailer, Bosco, they can blow that toilet right out, or a couch right out, and whole fender right out. So get the right tires, and real quick, Gabriel, you're talking about tires. What about people can just get in a vehicle and hitch up their trailer without checking the air on the tires? How important it is to be having the right air pressure.
And now you got to remember, most of the specifications at your car, so you just get an oil change and they set the tire pressure to whatever the spec is, but you just went now and hooked up your trailer. Now you added a bunch of weight. Now we need to discuss, should you be adding more air to those tires? And the answer is going to be yes, because you added more weight. So the weight capacity of that tire that you set when the car was not loaded was fine for everyday driving, but now we want to go on the max side of that and make sure that you have enough, because what causes the tire to fail is going to be when that sidewall flexes. So every time the tire rolls, the sidewall's flexing because of the additional weight, and that flexing is what will cause heat and will ultimately end up with a potential blowout. So having those tires properly is critical. And on the trailer, you want to max out those trailer tires to what they say inflation-wise if you're going to load that thing up and take it down the highway.
And you're listening to the Rusty Nut Show, heard every Tuesday at 10:30 right here on 99.9 FM, MA10. Mr. Gabriel Garcia of the Auto Angels, the Rusty Nut himself. Gabe, you got a minute and a half. We want to thank Advanced Auto Parts as well, proud sponsors. And I didn't send a shout out to my Cuatacho Ranger and Joe over at the new old San Fe Trail Garage.
Hey, I saw Joe working today.
Huh?
I drove by there. I saw Joe was actually working today. So shout out to Joe. Good job. Rangers was cracking the whip and Joe was working.
Bosco, there you go.
That's good. Okay. All right, we'll summarize.
Minute and a half.
We just want to make sure the trailer's level. We want to have the right equipment. And then we'll go to one easy one. So those of you who aren't towing and you went up to the ski basin just in your Jeep or your Subaru, it doesn't matter. You're coming down from the ski basin. You have the ability to use your transmission to reduce your speed, meaning a lot of you haven't been taught this. You can push the overdrive button and that will stop your vehicle from upshifting into the next gear. That helps it slow down. That reduces the amount of braking you have to do, which will prevent the brakes from getting too hot, which potentially will save you from needing them in a panic stop. They'll actually work. So understand how to use your vehicle. Being able to use the transmission to reduce its speed is a good thing for you to learn as the owner of a vehicle, even if you're not pulling a trailer.
Excellent. And can you do that like at 30 miles an hour? You're going downhill.
You can select it, and you can even downshift. A lot of transmissions have the ability to go from drive to even 3, 2, something like that. You could slow down with your brakes and then downshift and then let off, and then you'll notice that it's not going to go that fast anymore, and that really helps you control the vehicle. And again, what we're trying to avoid is you over braking, overusing your brakes. The ski basin is steep, and I get customers complaining of what's called brake fade, which means by the time they get to the bottom, their brakes don't feel like they're working as good, and they're not working as good because they're hot. I mean, really hot. So just, a little bit of education will go a long ways if you're going to do that kind of driving.
Very good. Gabriel Garcia, the Auto Angel, 424-3899. We want to thank Advanced Auto Parts, sponsors, and of course,
hi, Mom.
We want to thank all you listeners. Appreciate it very, very much. You can listen to the Rusty Show every Tuesday at 10:30
Hi,
on
Caroline.
99.9 AM 810. God bless you guys. Back to our regular studios.